You're listening to the Actors Resource Podcast with Aaliyah Lay, a podcast for actors and improvisers, with interviews from entertainment industry experts.
Today's guest is Michael Vincent Berry, who is a Texas-born actor most known for his roles in American Tragedies, WACO The Trials, Law and Order SVU, Better Call Saul and THEM. Other notable projects include the multi-award-winning Crude Massacre, Last of the Grads, and the LGBT dystopian film Innocent Boy. Michael is a veteran stage actor and former chair of theater and artistic director at Oakland School for the Arts. Former students of Michael's include Burnham, Tati Gabrielle, and Zendaya. In 2017, he earned a special Tony nomination for his work in theater education and was inducted into his alma mater's Hall of Fame. Michael is a champion for kids with disabilities and access to education in the arts. Michael is the proud father of 3 adopted deaf children and resides in Austin, Texas with his husband Adam and his 3 children. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today.
You've acted in quite a few things. What's the most recent thing you're in right now?
Well,
recurring, I think you were, right?
Yeah, well, I'm in what I can be found on Amazon's new series that released in March called THEM.
Cool.
It's a crazy series. I don't know if you've seen it. It was a 10 episode series this first year. Just got renewed a couple of weeks ago, so we're hoping. You know,
got renewed.
Yeah,
renewed.
We got renewed, and I have a very, very close. Well, let me say this again. I have a nice ongoing relationship with the showrunner, creator, writer, Little Marvin. We're connected through social media and have always been supporting each other since the project shot in 2019 in December. Got to work with some amazing, actors in that project. You know, my character was right in the wheelhouse of the types of characters that I play, which are the bad guys. You know, I'm the monster, I'm the backwoods, rapist, racist, serial killer, mob boss, cult leader. Those are the types, which is kind of funny because
that's not who you are, though.
Exactly.
That's not who you are. Me chatting with you, I'm like, oh, that is not who you are, right?
It's not who I am, but it's interesting. You know, a lot of people ask me, like, Michael, why do you play these type of characters? And it started really a few years ago. I was working with a business coach by the name of Valerie Hubbard, and she's been in everything, Resident Evil, every Disney show ever created, and so we were working on my branding. I had just kind of started in film and television. Prior to that, I was working for 20 years as the artistic director and chair of the School of Theater at Oakland School for the Arts, and then prior to that was a theater director. So I had helped raise some of the amazing superstars. Now I had the privilege of working, directing, teaching Burnham, and
wow.
Zendaya, Tati Gabrielle, who is now kind of making her way and name in the world with Emoji Movie and 100 and Sabrina the Teenage Witch and like all of that stuff. So I had and so many other kids, right, and kids that had gone on to top level university programs across the world. And so I had been in that world, and then three and a half years ago, left education and decided, okay, well, I'm going to go do my film and TV career that I've always wanted to do, and move back to Texas, where I had been gone for 30 years, closer to my family. It's easier to, much more economical to live here and try to build a career rather than San Francisco, the Bay Area, California, and all of that. So, returned here and started that. So really with them, that was my kind of biggest, kind of breakthrough little moment. My role wasn't large. I was in 2 episodes, episode 5, and then a flashback to that they used in episode 1. But I got to work with some amazing actors, Dale Dickey, who's just incredible to be on set with, and Deborah, of course, the lead of the series. And they were bringing me back in February of 2020 for a recurring role. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, COVID hit 2 weeks later, and that was that. So my hope is now that they're redoing it, I sent a little cute message to to the showrunner, Little Margaret, and said, congratulations, you're on fire. This is amazing. I know you've got so much going on, and I'd love to come back and play in the sandbox.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Those opportunities are awesome, and what I learned in this 3.5 years is it's all relationship based. It's about who you are able to cultivate those relationships with. Kind of circling back, because I can tend to be long-winded a little bit, but these characters that I play, it started with Valerie helping me brand myself, because she said, it's senseless to be like the large population of actors who kind of just, hey, I'll take anything, throwing stuff up against the wall, spaghetti, hoping it sticks. Yeah. And what I started to do is I started to look back over some of the theater roles that I had played over my life, and looking at some of the characters I had played there, and then realizing, from my type and my look and all of that, there was a good chance I would play these bad guys, these, the ones I had described, these rapists and serial killers and all of those ugly, mean people. And then what I realized as I began to kind of fill my resume with those types of roles, I realized other people were seeing me that way as well. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the dichotomy of being, this big gay lovable teddy bear in real life, people are like, this is crazy.
But you do look like a tough guy. Like if I just walked on a street and saw you, I'd be like, he looks like a tough guy.
Good. My marketing's working.
But,
the interesting thing too, Aaliyah, is that, we all go through, I think at some point, some type of, hopefully we don't all, but, trauma or something in our life, whether it's in our childhood or young adulthood or, adulthood itself. For me, playing these roles, having experienced some of that in my life, this was actually a way for me to kind of internally heal from my experiences, that I was able to get and dive deeper into some of my pains and struggles when I was younger, and things that, affected me. And this has been a release for me to be able to embrace these types of roles and characters and try to get a deeper understanding of, what motivates these types of characters in our real life, that we then, are sometimes able to be on film and television and in projects. So it's good. I embrace it. And it's also, it's my bread and butter. I can, people said, my God, wasn't that so difficult to film them? And that, it's a horrific, scene where if you haven't seen it, where I'm part of a posse led by Del Dickey, who come in and, rape the star of the series and kill her newborn baby.
Oh my God.
People are like, how can you do that? And I'm an actor. It's my job. And I'm able to pull from my past to help indicate and help, influence the roles that I play. And at the same time, I'm able to, separate the two. And so that was a long time on set. It was the producers of the show did a phenomenal job in making sure that all of the actors were protected on set and felt safe, and brought in all of the, necessary professionals and counselors to be on set for that. That one scene took, I think, about 5 days to shoot. It was just so mechanical and technical, and really, really well thought out and directed and produced. And so that's good. And it's who I play, but it's not me. It's not me. It's not who I am.
Right. Which is great.
Yeah, that's always a plus.
Well, I want to acknowledge you, right? So you were teaching theater and drama, right? Yeah. And you helped influence and mentor some of these really well-known actors now, right? Younger actors that really well-known and becoming more well-known. Sure. But what, in 3.5 years, the trajectory you did from nothing in film and TV, right? Mm-hmm. To in 3.5 years, you had a recurring on them, which is phenomenal. So first, like, what made you decide to give up your 9 to 5 to go and pursue your passion,
Mm-hmm.
which is film and TV acting.
Yeah, let me just make. Yeah. So it's not a recurring yet. Hopefully, we're hoping for recurring. You
were on 2 episodes, right? That's recurring.
Well, it was. I shot 1 episode. They used part of the footage for a flashback. So, so I've got 2 credits on IMDb, 2 shows. I filmed 1, and we're hoping they bring me back for the season 2. So, but that being said,
okay. And to be fair, like, okay. So just so you know, my definition of success is from Earl Nightingale, which is the progressive realization towards a worthy ideal, whatever that ideal is to you. So you're already successful regardless of the achievements.
Yeah.
You have, yes. But you also have the achievements in such a short amount of time. And you're represented by the Bohemian group, which is phenomenal.
Yeah,
that is also in short amount of time. That is also an outside achievement too. So okay, anyway, so
So, one of the things, I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that has been pivotal to the success that I have in this amount of time is I really started building a team around me, and it's important for me to acknowledge those people, because it's without them. On many levels, the continual hustle that I stand in. And sometimes, that could have fallen off. I have my representation at Bohemia Management. I'm also represented by a fabulous agent in the Texas, New Mexico market, Bankston Talent, and then LA and Atlanta with Smith Young Talent, my agencies. But I also have, a marketing business coach, Valerie Hubbard. I also have a marketing business coach, Wendy Elaine Wright. I also have a mindset coach with a choice. So it's a full team. I look at it as Michael Vincent Berry Enterprises, right? And as the CEO of that enterprise, it's important to have all of these facets of support. Whether I go a month or 2 without booking, I've got my mindset coach to keep me level and straight, and I've got a marketing, business strategy coaches and Wendy and Valerie that help me keep aligned with the vision and shifting and tweaking and making sure that I'm in the right places. I'm being seen by quote unquote my buyers of the product that I'm selling. Right. And so those are all very, very helpful. So I left, I had some great success in the directing educational world. For about 7 years, I took my students to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and performed. And won lots of awards and honors with that, and was also proud that every show that we took there were original pieces, adaptations of other works, but original works that helped my actors, think on multiple different levels, right, and create on multiple different levels. Yeah. I was very fortunate working in Oakland with some amazing talented kids who, it was an audition-based school and all of that. And so, that my time there was awesome. I was fortunate enough to be nominated for a special education a Tony Award in 2017.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I was fortunate enough to also win a pretty substantial scholarship to kind of work on my career to be able to use in teaching with my students. So in 2016, I was awarded a fellowship to go study at the Glasgow School of Arts. And what I chose to kind of focus on was deaf performance. There was a time as I was always teaching and we adopted my children that I woke up one morning and I realized, I can't provide my own children the same type of high caliber theater training, acting training that I can provide for my students at school. And that's because we have accessibility issues. My kids are deaf. And as I look around and pan over the school, we have other students who have their own disabilities, but don't have the same type of access in the arts. And so I began to kind of shift my focus in working with students, and being able to create that type of accessibility. One of my proudest moments is as a teacher and director, is I created, we produced a show, Rent, at Oakland School for the Arts. And half of the actors that I used in the show were from California School for the Deaf. And so those students were teamed with my hearing students at Oakland School for the Arts and signed the entire musical. It was amazing. With Jonathan Marks, from the creator of Avenue Q, flew in from New York. He saw it. It was just like fantastic.
Avenue Q.
Yeah, right. One of my other favorite shows. But so my work was about that, and then we had the great fortune of being in 2016 as well. 2016 and 2017 were big years. I was inducted into my university collegiate Hall of Fame for my work in theater education.
Wow.
Salem State University. Yeah. So that was exciting. And that will help, I think, hopefully, be part of the legacy I leave in that world of education. But it was also time for me to I was tired. I had strived and worked very, very hard for those years to really create as many possibilities for my students as I could. And it was a time of turmoil in my personal life as well. And so that started bleeding over, as sometimes that might do in other aspects of life. And it was time for me to move on and do something different. And so I did. I came home to Texas, where I had been gone for 30 years. All my family lives here. And thought, this is a great place to start the next chapter. I've always likened myself to a phoenix, and rising again and recreating and creating newly. And so I did that. I came home to Texas with 0 film and television credits. I knew that I could afford rent in Austin, Texas, a lot better than I could in San Francisco without having a mainstream job, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I moved to Austin and began from nothing, just started working with my business coaches and creating my branding and that sort of thing, trying to, piece together a resume, for the film and television, having no experience, but developed some clips and got some stuff going and got up on Actors Access and casting networks and all the portals, and obviously was non-union and started sending out stuff and was very fortunate to get some pretty immediate stuff. I signed with an agent, was with them for about a year or so, decided I needed to kind of transition into another agency, did that for a year, realized that, I was booking a lot of stuff and getting stuff done, and thought, maybe it's time for a manager to help me get to where I'm really looking to go to and help manage this process, and sent a pitch video to Susan over at Bohemia, and scared to death of what she was going to say, because this was my first time ever live pitching someone, embedding it into the email. She's getting it. I'm like, oh my God, what's she going to think? And if you know Susan, she's an amazing woman and quite a character. We get each other, right? And so I've got my torn off sleeves and my tattoos, and I'm smoking a cigar, and she smoked cigars. I did my research and kind of feel for who she was, and pitched this and said, hey, my name is Michael Vincent Berry. I'm an unassuming, unremarkable everyman who will make you check your locks before you go to bed each night. I'm a cross between the boogeyman and your unsettling high school janitor.
Nice, yeah.
I'm the unhinged neighbor down the street whose house you skip each Halloween when you take your children trick-or-treating. I think we should work together. I think we can make a killing. Send it off to her. Crossed my fingers, shook in my shoes for a couple of hours. And I think within 3 or 4 hours, she sent me an email back saying, I've been in this business for 35 years, and that's the best GD effing pitch I've ever got. I'll sign you tomorrow. So that was that. And that was a lesson in really just standing outside, standing in my commitment to what I'm going to have. I declared what my career was going to be like. I declared and created and visualized, which I think is so important, and visualize, the end result. And then everything else is just a process in getting to that. And so, that was an important step for me. Being repped by her is has been, game changing for me, as well as my reps. And so that's kind of how it started. I moved to Austin, got some stuff, started booking stuff, and that just kind of grew and grew and grew. And obviously I have a lot more to grow. I'm fortunate right now. I joined SAG in January, and so kind of made that official. And that,
congratulations.
Thank you. And that's been a wake up call. Right now I'm playing in a whole different pool. And so that combined with COVID and everything, things have been slow, but, starting in May, things started popping again. I'm getting 4 or 5 major, awesome, incredible audition opportunities a week, booking here and there, as you will, and just, keeping my chin up and working with my team and always constantly on the grind and mixing and moving and changing and pivoting so that I can be in those rooms, even though they're electronic rooms right now, and just being able to put myself out there, grow, continue to coach. I work with some incredible coaches, Amy Linden, James Sicioni in New York. So I'm ongoing training and your listeners won't be able to see this because I'm doing it visually, but there's this place that you declare you want to be. And so for me, that's, a successful working actor. And then there's this other part where it's the denials and the no's and the no's and the no's and the no's. But it took me a long time to understand that every one of those are all part of the journey. It's all part of getting to this, right? And so being this, and so I'm really entrenched with keeping my head on straight through mindset, because I believe that really dictates, our beliefs dictate our thoughts, dictate our actions, dictate our outcomes. And so, trying to stay true to that for me. And it's difficult, day to day, it's difficult. We all have those days as actors, but just staying the course and learning to embrace the journey.
I love it so much. That is so great. I mean, you just synopsized everything in terms of how you started, challenges you faced, what you did to face those and overcome those challenges by hiring a team, right? You were committed, dedicated, you knew where you wanted to go, and you committed your funds, right, as well as yourself, your talent, your energy into moving towards your vision. You just synopsized all of my questions.
I'm also lucky that I also am very fortunate that I have a partner that Adam, that is very committed to this process and this journey with me, whether it's his time or resources, or he's oftentimes my reader at 3:00 in the morning when I get a late audition coming in that's due the next day, and so he's part of that team as well. And so I'm very fortunate to have an amazing team all around, and we just keep chugging along.
That is so great. So now, okay, so you already synopsized everything. So just now, what are you at now? Like, you still have your vision. You already made huge progress. And also you did it from Texas. I want to actually ask you that real quick. Being that and then also anything you'd like to promote, sure. But being that you're in Texas, so many times a lot of actors, and the podcast is originally for actors and improvisers, but now it's become about success stories, right? It's to inspire different journeys. But in general, most actors think, okay, I have to go to LA, I have to go to New York, because those are the main markets. Mm-hmm. But you did it from Texas, like.
Yeah, it's been challenging. When I made the move here, when I decided that this was going to be the place to root and ground myself as I began this process, I had family here to support me, etc. And working pre-COVID was no issue. I was all around the country. I was filming in New York. I was filming in Atlanta. I was filming in California, Texas, New Mexico, and then COVID hit, obviously. And as everything shut down, I was fortunate enough still in the early part of 2020 to mid part, actually, working on 6 pretty amazing projects that are now kind of out in the film circuit and all of that. So it wasn't that I didn't work. It's just that I was limited to kind of this general region. That being said, as you know, as things have developed and things changing in our world, where everyone is now on board with self-tapes. You know, Atlanta was doing self-tapes way before COVID, so that was nothing new for them. But as the rest of the country and the world kind of jumped onto this understanding that, hey, self-tapes aren't a bad thing now, so that was different. I think to the degree, still some markets still are only really kind of hiring from within their local markets. You know, we have seen a change, I think, in a shift in people are starting to fly a little bit more now. They're bringing people in from other markets. I'm fortunate also that I do work legit local hire. I'm not just saying I live there, but I have family in Los Angeles. I've got people in Atlanta as well. And so I'm able to work in these local markets legitimately. And so that hasn't really been much of a challenge, other than just the restrictions that they had with vaccinations and all of that. So, but that stuff I think is starting to lighten up a little bit. And I think that moving forward, casting has really seen that, hey, we're able to not have to have an office space. We're able to work from home. We're able to, to be able to see a lot more actors, which has kind of been fantastic for them. Not so much fantastic for me, because we've gone, from seeing, 100 people for the role to 400 people take, 3,000 or 4,000 tapes coming in. So it's like, whoo. But that goes back to the marketing, that goes back to my team, who does an incredible job in leading me in my marketing and branding, because even though they're able to see so many more people for auditions, I'm still getting so many audition opportunities. And that all comes from your branding and your headshots and your reels and your clips and your marketing and all of that package that the casting initially sees. Now it's just up to me to kind of close the deal on all of them. But so, I think moving forward, we're going to see more of this. I think certainly for producer director sessions, they're going to be calling people in the room. I just literally last week on Wednesday had a Zoom callback that was direct to producer, direct to director session, and got halfway through my audition. They're like, "Okay, great, we've seen enough." And I'm like, I was standing there with my mouth open. The Zoom went off. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I've never had that happen before in the middle of my audition. But 30 minutes later, I had an email from my manager Susan saying, "Hey, you're on avail." And 2 hours later had a contract. So it works out. Sometimes it works out.
Yeah, because normally I think most actors would be like, if that happened, we would tend to think like, oh no, they just stopped me in the mid-sentence.
Let's be clear. When I got off of that audition, when I'm looking at a blank screen for the Zoom, I immediately texted Amy, my coach, and said, "What the hell just happened? Has this ever happened?" She's like, "Relax. They see what they need to see. Like, we'll see what happens." And sure enough, by the time she had responded, I had already been put on a veil, and then 2 hours later had the contract. So yeah, you're like, crisis averted. Yes. Yeah, meltdown averted. Yes. So.
Well, congratulations. So that's next. You're going to be shooting soon. Another project.
I leave Monday morning. I'm going to head over to Houston. I'll be on set for a few days there. It's again, I'm in the wheelhouse playing a plantation owner, rapist, racist, serial, all of that. So, as my mother said, as my mother said, well, that's another project I won't be able to watch. I have a film that's on the film circuit right now that just actually started in July. So we've got the whole year ahead of us still, called Crude Massacre. That is just, thank goodness, knock on wood, we just had some huge success, winning so many festivals and best producers and best directors and best actor and best actor, and like just really, really gaining a lot of momentum and success with that film. And I don't play the bad guy in that film necessarily.
Degrees of badness.
I lowered it a little bit, but I was fortunate enough she was able to come and see a screening of it in Austin last month, and so it was thrilling to be able to have my family there, watching it on the big screen, and actually, not watching it with their fingers over their eyes, and,
cringing.
But yeah, I am available for nice roles too. It's just that the bad guys are my bread and butter. So
cool. Well, that was it. You shared everything. You shared what's coming up next. You did a little bit of a plug. How can we follow you? If we want to follow you or anything else you want to promote before we say goodbye, thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. It's been awesome being here with you. I really appreciate the opportunity. I love your podcast. I've been listening to some of your former shows, and I just appreciate what you're doing for actors in this world. It's not an easy ride, and so people like you that are doing these types of success and inspirational stories is awesome. You can follow me on my Facebook. It's very simple, Michael Vincent Berry.
Berry with a B. E-R-R.
E-E, like a straw or a blue, but not a dingle. So that's and then I'm Michael.Vincent.Berry on Instagram. Those are two of my bigger kind of social media areas. My website is michaelvincentberry.com, and then of course you can find me on IMDb. So those are my areas that I kind of play in. I'm on Instagram as well. I mean on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, that's my gig.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you are phenomenal. And I just appreciate you being here. And
really, I appreciate it so much. It's been fun spending time with you. And hopefully we'll get a chance to work with each other in the future.
That would be amazing. So, awesome. I don't know if I want to work with you in the role into play.
Well, I'll play a good guy.
Okay, that would be cool. That'd be cool.
I'll play an ice cream man, maybe. Although that could be a little tumultuous sometimes.
Yes, right. Now I'm thinking pedophile, so.
Exactly. Yeah, don't want to go there. Awesome. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
And thank you for listening to the Actors Resource Podcast with me, Aaliyah Lay. I would love to hear from you, so email me, AliyahKLay@gmail.com. ALYAKLEI@gmail.com.